Good evening, everyone, and thank you so much for joining us tonight for our Goose Nation Tells All, the Inside Scoop on WC panel. My name is Erin Jezanowski, and I am a junior here at Washington College. Joining me tonight are some of our wonderful Washington College students, Faithlin, Jonah, Kira, Lexi, and Michael. These students will share their experiences and opportunities that they've had during their time here at Washington College. We will begin tonight with each panelist introducing themselves and answering some opening questions. And then we will end with a Q&A session. Please use the Q&A box at the bottom of your screen to submit questions for our panelists. If we are unable to answer your question live, we will follow up with you via email. Keep in mind, if you submit a question anonymously, we will be unable to follow up with you as we won't know who asked the question. We have allotted 1 hour for this session, so without further ado, it is my pleasure to begin. And it'd be awesome if our panelists could turn on their cameras so we can put faces to names. Thanks, guys. All right, great. So pretty sure it would help our audience to get to know about our students here. So we'll start with you, Michael. Can you just tell us a little bit about yourself, major, minor, graduation year, hometown, involvement on campus, and of course your favorite food in the dining hall, that whole spiel.
So my graduation year is in a couple of weeks. I'm a senior, and I'm graduating with a history and economics major. I'm calling in from my hometown out near Hagerstown, Maryland, which is about 3 hours from campus. But when I'm on campus, and even in this remote world, I've been involved with my fraternity life, the hiking club, as well as a lot of things in the drama and arts departments. And my favorite food in the dining hall is I love the weekend brunch, and this sounds gross to some, but having scrambled eggs and sausage gravy and putting Old Bay on all of it. So very Maryland.
Awesome, thanks, Michael. Kira, do you want to go next?
Yeah, I'm Kira. I'm a sophomore this year, and I am majoring in biology, and I'm on the pre-pharmacy track, and I'm minoring in public health. My hometown is York, Pennsylvania, and then my involvement on campus, I'm on the varsity field hockey team. I serve on the honor board, and then I'm a course mentor and a tutor as well. And then my favorite food at the dining hall is the omelet bar.
Good choice.
Okay. So hi, my name is Jonah. I am a business management major with a Black Studies and Political Science double minor. I am a sophomore this year, class of 2023. Woohoo. Some of my involvement on campus includes Peer Smart, advocacy group. I'm a peer mentor. I'm in Black Student Union as well as a fraternity on campus, Kappa Sigma, as well as Michael Hershey. I am from Baltimore, love Baltimore. And my favorite food in the dining hall would have to be the fries, the golden ones, the golden straight ones, love those.
Yes, their fries are so good.
Hi, everyone. I'm Lexi. I'm a sophomore. I'm a double major in political science and communications and media studies. I'm a minor in journalism, editing, and publishing. I am from Stewartsville, New Jersey, which is 5 minutes from the PA border. I am the co-director of philanthropy and service for the sorority Zeta Tau Alpha. I write for both the opinion and lifestyle section for the Elm. I'm involved in the musicals and chorus here on campus. My favorite food from dining hall, it's been a while since I've been, I'm from home the past 2 semesters. So I would say probably the pasta bar if my memory serves right, but yeah.
Yes, the pasta bar is still flourishing here on campus. All right, well, awesome. It was great. Your introductions were awesome. So I know Washington College did not just appear in front of you one day, when you walked out of your house and, Washington College was not there. So could you just share a little bit more about your journey? How did Washington College become your college home? And Michael, we'll start with you again.
Yeah, I was really attracted to Washington College because of my interest in history. I've grown up right off of the Antietam battlefield my whole life, and the Star Center really, as soon as I visited campus, I was talking with them, and they were like, "We'll have a job for you. We do all kinds of projects, ranging from like national projects like the National Homefront Project, which I got to work on, and I interviewed people that lived through World War II and did oral history with them." And then other projects, including more local ones about like more Black communities and oral histories there, as well as going through archives and records of like NAACP meetings and things like that. So I just thought that that kind of immersive environment where I'm learning something in the classroom, but also doing this great field work was a really great place for me to be.
Awesome. Thanks, Michael.
And then for me, I was recruited by my coach, and I did not want to go to a small school. That was not my first option at all. But once I came here, I just felt right at home, and it was very clear that I did want to go to a small school, and that was the right fit for me. And I just really like the balance between being able to do whatever you want and kind of being able to be an athlete, but also work on campus, but also tutor and that kind of thing. So that was something that really brought me in as well.
So what brought me to the school was my mom took me here for a tour, and I fell in love with the tour, which is why I also became a Georgia's General. But I love the tour. I love seeing the people. I love how close it was to the water. So some late nights I'll just sit by the water and clear my head. I think what really reeled me in was the fact that one of the Dunkin' Donuts is actually historically themed, and it took me a while to find it, and I thought that was cool. So I was like, yeah, this is the place to go for me.
What drew me to the school was probably my guidance counselor in high school introduced the school to me because I was looking for a smaller school. There's just like benefits from going to a small school. You really get to know everyone. It's not like an overwhelming amount of people, and you really do get to make these like personal connections with people you most likely wouldn't be able to if you were on like a really big campus. And what sold it for me was probably after the tour, um, I had gone through like the secondary school process after middle school. And one thing they always talked about was like, you know, when you finish. And I just got this sense of community and I felt safe and I was really excited about the school and I ended up here.
Yes, yeah, we definitely, love the small, tight-knit, close environment that Washington College can foster and does foster. So this actually segues perfect into our next question because we all know that Washington College, while small but mighty, does offer a great deal. The local town is pretty special as well, right? So what are your favorite things about Chestertown?
Something really cool that I've been able to do in Chestertown is a few of my friends on campus. We started a trio and got trained by one of our professors that just thought that we were cool and wanted to help us like become better musicians. And then we have been like asked by the community to play at a lot of nonprofit events like the Lions Club and the Rotary Club. We played at their events, and we help out with the house tour and provide little theme music there. So the festivals that happen downtown are super cool, and getting to add to the community by playing music for it has been really cool too.
My favorite thing is all the different like restaurants and locally owned businesses that are in downtown Chestertown, specifically Play It Again Sam's. It's like a coffee shop, but my friends and I love to go there and get bagels over the weekend, so that's my favorite.
So I explained before that my favorite thing was, going by the water and things like that. But I think one of my favorite events downtown is the Harry Potter Festival. I just don't think you can be a student of Washington College and not hear about Harry Potter. I never read the books, but I think I'm caught up now, thanks to Washington College. Um, there are sorting ceremonies. The town dresses up in theme. It's really cool. Um, they tried to sort me into a different house, but I will always be House Slytherin. So yeah.
I think one of the best parts of Chestertown was always Saturday mornings. There would be a farmer's market. And for me, as someone who has a dog at home, I was very much missing my dog. The pictures just weren't cutting it for me. I really just wanted my dog in my arms. So you see a lot of dogs there. There's also fresh produce, which is really nice. My roommate and I got strawberries, and we ended up making like chocolate covered strawberries in our dorm room. So it was really fun, and also just like a great opportunity to see some like local businesses. They have other things besides produce there. So it's just really a nice moment to kind of get to know the small businesses around Chestertown.
Yes, there is absolutely nothing better than going to the farmer's market on a Saturday morning and then going to play it against Sam's for a bagel afterwards. And who knows, maybe you might see Michael Hershey playing some music that morning. All right, cool. So again, kind of going back to the small community that we foster here, the small tight knit community, and that makes it pretty easy to make connections, right? And obviously, making connections are so important. And it isn't just the experience that matters; it's really the people. So, who is someone on this campus who has really made an impact on you? It can be a staff member, professor, even your freshman roommate. So, who is that person? And Michael, you can start us off again.
Yeah. It would be unfair for me to single out any one of my professors. I felt like I've been given very individual attention by all of them. So I'll kind of go on a different track in another part of my life that I really like doing intramural sports on campus. And I my freshman year there were probably like four per season, and but I would talk to the athletic director or organizer of campus activities, Steve Kanashiki, and he was like, "So what kind of things are you into?" And I was like, "Well, I do some video games. I do this thing called spike ball. I like swimming a lot." And he started an esports side of intramural sports, and they have like their own space with monitors and things like that. And he had like three different intramurals and got spike ball equipment. So he's someone that really like listened to student concerns and wanted to know what we were interested in, and worked really hard to implement that on campus. And you find that with a lot of people on campus. They want to see you follow your passions, and they want to use the school to help you do that.
I would say after the semester, my advisor is definitely somebody that got me through this entire semester and just has helped me from the very start. She was also my first year or my first bio teacher that I had here, and I just absolutely adore her. And I can always go to her with any questions and anything else that I need, especially when kind of finding that next step in my career path.
For me, the people that made an impact on me while I was here was the Black Student Union. Being a Black student coming to a private, predominantly white institution, there are some worries that I had, definitely. But once I got to campus, the Black Student Union, they made me feel so welcome, and they welcomed me with open arms. Um, we have our own group chat, it's always funny. We always sending TikToks to each other or talking about whatever's going on. So it's a pretty cool organization.
I think for me, honestly, my freshman roommate had probably one of the biggest impacts on me. She's also a Georgia General. And because we're both on different sides of the major, she's a psych major, I'm a poli sci major, and we both do a lot of things. It was those moments when we would be like 10 o'clock, and we'd both be in our room doing different homeworks, and we just like stop for a minute, just look at each other and be like, "How's your day? I haven't seen you all day since I left for my 8:30 class." But she was one of the main reasons why I ended up joining my sorority. And if it wasn't for her, I wouldn't have gained a group of like 40 something girls who were all really supportive. So I think she was one of my biggest influences at Washington College.
Yeah, great. There's always like so many people here that are like building you up and supporting you every single step of the way, which is just something so amazing and really unique to Washington College. So we're now at my favorite part of this event, and this is where we can start our live Q&A. So please write your questions in the chat box, and we will do our best to answer them. So we have our first question. So what has been your favorite class that you've taken? And anybody can unmute and answer this.
I can go. I'll probably be made fun of for this, but my favorite class I've taken was quantitative chemical analysis. Probably a very unpopular opinion, but I did really like that class, and I just really liked the math involved with the science, and that was just right up my alley. And I also really, really liked my professor that I had for that. He was the same professor that I had for my first year seminar, which was centered around like ethics in medicine. So yeah.
I had this super cool class called Past and Public Spaces, and it was all about going to like if you go to Chestertown, you might know that it was like founded in like 1740. But what are the like most recent monuments, and what are the like oldest monuments, and why are they remembered? And we got to take a trip to DC, and it was just all about like redefining spaces and who are they trying to include, and it made me much more socially aware as well as historically aware of community spaces and cities and like rural areas and why that happens. So very fascinating.
Um, for me, I would say my intro to the history of Western art. I like it just because I've never been an art person. Don't get me wrong. I don't think I'll ever be one. But I like that class because I like interpreting different artworks and learning the history, especially when it comes to race.
I think I've genuinely enjoyed all of my political science classes. They're all, doesn't matter what it's on. You get to talk about like current events, which is always really nice, and understanding it from your professor's point of view because they know more than you do, and they've studied it longer. But I think my favorite class out of all is the music theater production class that you take if you're involved in the musicals. So if you decide to join the musical, we have the musical theater production, so you get credit for it. And we rehearse throughout those times, but it's also just the music director will like spend the first 15 minutes and just ask us how we're doing and like, are you guys okay? Like, how are your other classes going? And it's just like a breath of fresh air. It's usually in the afternoon. So I usually would have had like 2 or 3 classes before. And it's just like so relaxing to be able to do something that you love with a group of people who also like to do what you're doing and just have the director there who's completely supportive of all of us. So, yeah.
So interesting hearing about all of these classes. So the next question is, do you ever get frustrated or feel limited by the school being so small?
No. And I can explain this very well. It's the fact that whenever I was touring bigger schools, it felt so much like high school. And that just wasn't the vibe that I was trying to go for. I was just so bored with all of the tours. But when I finally got to Washington College and, just experienced it going through my freshman and sophomore year, I loved it because, I always know where I am. I know the people around me. Um, and even when I'm like giving tours, it's so fun to like pass by like people and they'd be like, "Hi, Jonah, like, what's up?" And I'm just like, "Oh, what's up?" Like it's a friendly community. So yeah, no, I don't get annoyed.
I definitely have to agree with Jonah on that. As someone who came from like a smaller high school in comparison to others, and I know people who have gone to larger high schools, when I would tour these bigger schools, you just feel so overwhelmed. And you'd also not be able to make these like personal connections, like Jonah was saying, when you're on a tour and people are saying hi to you. Like those are like the highlights of my life when I'm like rushing to class and somebody says hi and I know them and I'm like, oh my God, hi. Even if you don't get to see them every day, it's just those small interactions that make you feel better. And I don't think you'll feel limited. I actually think you'll be able to grow more in a smaller environment because there's so much to do. And while it might feel like a small community, that community really grows big and like encases you and makes you feel loved. So yeah.
So, why did you choose your specific major or minor?
I can go. I chose mine because it made the most sense given that I want to go to pharmacy school. The biology major kind of fulfills all those prerequisites for pharmacy school already. And then my public health minor, I really wanted to do that specifically because of how diverse medicine should be, and it isn't right now. So I wanted to make sure I had that background on how I can be the best provider in terms of different ethnicities and things like that.
I I knew I wanted to come and be a history major, but I took a intro to macroeconomics, and then I tried the intro to microeconomics, and I just found it fascinating, and met a few of the faculty members and stuck with them all 4 years, and I was able to declare my second semester freshman year, and got on an easy early track to get my double major and not be too stressed out about it.
I knew when I was coming, like no matter where I ended up, I wanted to be a political science major. I've been told from a young age that I should be a lawyer or whatnot. Not really interested in that. I personally like telling people what's going on in the country that they're living in, and like having people be aware of like these big changes that are happening as the next generation growing up. Um, we're placed in this like bubble um, in high school and things like that. And a lot of people don't know what's going on in their own country or around the world. And so when I found out that communications and political science tend to fall in line together, I was very excited because double majoring is not an easy feat. Um, and to have two programs that work so well together was amazing. And then finding out that there was also a journalism minor just kind of all blended into it. So yeah.
So like Lexi, I knew that no matter where I ended up, I wanted to go into business management because of the opportunities that could open up. And plus, I know it looked good in a CEO position. But then um, the Black Studies program opened up and I was like, yeah, I definitely think I want to do this, especially after 2020. So I was like, yeah, I joined that. And there are professors that are in that program that are very dedicated to teaching Black history that is not whitewashed. So that was very important to me before joining the program. I did not think whatsoever that I would become a political science minor as well, but going to Washington College, we have different students all over the political spectrum. So becoming a political science minor, I thought, after having some conversations with friends and family, I was like, I think this is something that I don't want to make my overall life, but like, something I can dabble in. So political science minor just seemed appropriate.
Great. Yes, Jonah, your CEO comment was very funny. Thank you for that. So the next question is, can you speak to diversity and inclusion efforts? What is the diversity ratio and how does WAC support students of color?
I'll go. So when it comes to supporting students of color on campus, I think one new thing that they've done that I feel like is super cool. Um, while it is cool that we go to a college that was founded by George Washington, it's still important to recognize the history behind that and how many people that it's affected. And throughout the years, what Black students have gone through, just students of color as well have gone through um, while the school was founded and while they attended the school. So a couple of ways. One way is that they've started the Asterix initiative, and that is you'll see a red asterisk around on campus on like different George Washington statues or just different buildings, things like that, that recognize that there's some history to this that's not all good. Um, and we're trying to recognize that. And I think that's one cool thing that they've done. They've also renamed a dorm building after a Black student. I believe he was the first Black student to graduate from the college. So that is another thing that is that happened, as well as there was a letter that went to administration that outlined different things that the students of color, Black students, Indigenous students on campus would like to see, and they've so far been trying to incorporate that, or trying to get funds to incorporate, like getting a diversity and inclusion officer. They've gotten a committee together, things like that. They've also increased security around campus, making sure that the cameras are working, things like that. So different things have happened and different things are happening to make sure our students feel safe.
I will speak on I'm in the human rights and social justice class with Dr. Wade, and our big project that we've worked on throughout the entire semester was 4 different groups on reconciliation. So there was the interpersonal, intrapersonal, institutional, and community. So each student a part of these groups talked to members of the Washington College community, members of the Chestertown community, to find out ways that Washington College can work on making sure that students of color feel safe, all genders feel safe, all sexual preferences, LGBTQ plus students feel safe on campus and included. And I think one of the big things is that at the end this week, actually, members from the Board of Visitors and Governors, members from the Dean's office, the provost all came and listened to these students' presentations, and have actually asked for their full plan to look into using some of these ideas. So I think that shows that the college wants to hear from the students on what the students feel they need to feel safe, they need to feel welcomed and included. So I think that's one of the really awesome things about getting to be in this class that is working to help the Washington College community as a whole.
I just had one thing to add from the student athlete side of things. For athletes this year, we had to go through, or not go through, but we watched a documentary, the 13th documentary, I think it was called. It was a while ago when I watched it, but we watched that, discussed it as a team, and we had like a seminar as well that we all attended, all student athletes, and that was really, really helpful for the majority people and not minorities to kind of learn about that. And then it was also required for course mentors and tutors as well that we attend different diversity seminars. And that goes beyond just ethnicities, but also disabilities in the classroom and things like that as well. So that was also super informative.
Yeah, I think the students have done a really good job about like being so socially aware and bringing it to their own organizations. Like Kira was saying about athletic groups doing these seminars. Greek Life did a lot of seminars and just discussions about how to be a more inclusive organization, and like how to address racism if you see it, how to address exclusivity. So I've been really impressed with the student action, and then the college appreciating how much the students care and wanting to help out themselves.
Yeah, thank you guys so much for talking about and explaining those initiatives. It's, I think it, again, speaks to the student body on campus that, we really, really do care about each other and all of these causes. So the next question, I think this is a really cool question. So what do the students on the panel, so you guys, think they might go professionally after they graduate?
Hopefully, I will be a pharmacist. I would like to work in a hospital specifically. And ideally, this is really far out there, but I would like to work with cancer patients specifically and like different medications that they would have to take and what would be the best treatment for them. But yeah.
I'm over this summer, after I graduate, I'm going to be working with the local historical society, learning more about local history, and then hopefully I want to work with the National Park Service as not just like ecologically, but also with historical interpretation in mind.
So I want my end goal in life to be somewhere near Silicon Valley. But after leaving Washington College, I'm really not sure. And I think that's the kind of like the beauty of the college process is that, you really don't have to have it figured out yet. And I'm coming up on the end of my sophomore year. Is it freaking me out a little bit? I know for definitely after 19 years of living here, I want to be out of Maryland. Not as far away as possible, but as far away as possible. Because yeah, I just need new scenery. So
Um, Geez, this is so scary to think about. Because I'm at the end of my sophomore year, and that means that like serious things are gonna start happening. Um, but for me, I think directly after college, I'd like to get some form of job in the news, political area, journalistic. Ideally, I would love to have like my own primetime news show. Um, because at like later on in my career, it's going to take some time to get there. Um, but I always love talking about the big stories, but the little stories that you don't hear about too often. Um, Trying to bring some positive to such terrible news that happens almost every day. And that was like one of the biggest reasons why my parents wouldn't let me watch the news when I was really young, was because they were afraid it was going to be too much. Um, but in retrospect, I wish that I would get to watch some of these big news stories. So I'd like to do something along that. I'd also potentially like to do something with news for kids that they can show in schools. There used to be one on, I think it was CNN. They used to do these 10-minute videos and kind of recap what happened the week before. And I think that's really important to start incorporating having kids in schools talking about what's going on in their country. So somewhere along those lines, who knows?
Yeah, that was all really interesting. And yeah, like you said, yeah, like, 1 minute you're like, applying here and then you get accepted and then you come take your classes. And then freshman year goes by like this. And then sophomore year goes by like this. And you're like on the other side of college. And you're a junior trying to figure out what you're gonna do for your thesis. And then you're a senior like Michael presenting your thesis. Crazy, crazy, crazy. So our next question is, do most students live on campus? Is housing guaranteed for all 4 years?
Most students do live on campus, and the college actually really wants to move towards that because it it really encourages you to like participate on things in things like I love on the weekends going to like theater productions and sporting events. So like it's nice to have all your friends there with housing secured on campus, and there are also a lot of different housing options that the school offers, from like doubles and singles to suite style to hall style. So there are a lot of different options, and you don't have to worry about like having a lease and the landlord and all that.
I would say that I would add on to this that with the COVID going on, we have like enforce like COVID restrictions and laws based on how they were given to us. We have an app called Emoca. Did I get that right, everybody? Just give me a nod. Yeah. Okay. So Emoca, it just this little testing app to make sure that are you coming down with any symptoms? And if you aren't, you get a green check and you're good to go. And if you are coming down with symptoms, then there's a process that you'll go through. I know that some students who have been living on campus, and it's been a pretty successful to my understanding, but I've been living at home within my dorm under these LED lights. So yeah.
All right, cool. Yes, yeah, we have a lot of different options for students to live in, and we have, a great student life experience here. And then the cool thing about living on campus is that you get your bathrooms cleaned for you. That's always a plus. Always a plus. All right, so Kira, this one is actually for you. How did you become a student athlete? Is there a volleyball team?
So I was recruited by the coach to play here. So that's how I became a student athlete, I guess. And I definitely recommend it if any of you are borderline thinking about it or even considering it. And even if you're considering coming here and playing an intramural sport or a club sport, I highly recommend that as well. I think all the sports teams, regardless of varsity level, intramural level, whatever, is such a great opportunity. And it's just really fun to be a part of a team, honestly. I know the athletic teams here get along really well. So that's one of the things that kind of drew me into this school specifically. And yes, we do have a varsity volleyball team as well.
Awesome. Thanks, Kira. All right, so this one, back to everybody, all of our awesome panelists. What are some local outdoor activities?
So, a lot of people like using the waterfront. I've been a patron of the boathouse, the brand new boathouse. I was here when the new boathouse wasn't here, guys. But you're free to take kayaks and canoes and paddle boards out onto the Chester River when the weather gets nice. There are a lot of like smaller creeks you can go up, so you don't have to like be fighting with the big boats on the Chester River. But then there are also other opportunities on the waterfront, like the Student Events Board puts on this event called Flock to the Waterfront, where they'll have a bunch of boats ready for wakeboarding or water skiing, or if you just want to ride a boat out on a sailboat, you can do that, and they'll have like a barbecue on the waterfront, and that's a really fun activity. And then I started a club here because I wanted to be outdoors, called the Adventure Club, and we've gone to like the C&O Canal and Patapsco, and we had plans to go all the way down and do overnight camping trips at the River and Field campus, as well as like Assateague and Chincoteague, but COVID has complicated that. But hopefully, by the time you guys might get here, that's all reinstated, and a lot of cool opportunities there that are student led.
I also, one thing I didn't realize when I first came here and even like throughout my freshman year was how many parks there are nearby. There's like a dog park and then other like parks with like running trails and stuff like that that are just so beautiful. I really like going to those and just running around the track and seeing all the dogs as well. So that's something that I like to do.
So some of my favorite activities include, what do they include? There's a McDonald's up the road, let me tell you that. And that's important. That's important. There's a McDonald's and a Royal Farms nearby, within walking distance. So number one favorite spots. There's also a movie theater. That's where I watched Maleficent, Mistress of Evil. Angelina Jolie. She always understands the assignment. Anyway, I like going by the water as well. There's a couple like sandy beaches where you can, you can dip your feet in. Um, is that it? Is that all I like to do outside? Well, no, I like walking, but like, yeah, that's it.
Um, I think a really fun thing to do is walk down to the freeze. You can't miss it. They have a big Mater truck right outside. Really awesome ice cream, a lot of fun. Um, Also, just like getting to walk down um, by the water, like when the sun is coming up. It also helps you like wake up. I remember like when I have really long days, which sounds really funny, I would actually get up early to start my day with like the sunrise. And it's really just nice to have access to something like that and be able to like walk 5 or 10 minutes, depending on how fast you walk, to see something really beautiful in the morning.
Yes, the Chester River sunrises are just so pretty. All right, so this next question is, what is your favorite place on campus?
Aside from the field hockey field, which we call the Kib, I love it. Going back to sunsets, I love watching the sunset there. That's hands down my favorite place. But academically, my favorite place is Toll Science Center. It's beautiful. It's the best place to study, and it's home to all the chem and bio labs. So obviously, it's my favorite.
For me, that would be my freshman year, first semester. I was obsessed with the campus green. It's like this big lawn, you literally cannot miss it. And I like laid, my blanket down and I'll read a book, listen to music. I would sleep on there sometimes. And there would be people like coming up to me, like my friends, they'll be like, Jonah, like, are you okay? Like, you're just lying here on the ground. I'm like, yeah, I'm fine. I'm taking a nap in the sun. So I like the campus green. It's a really, really good place to relax.
I think I'm like biased towards the Gibson Center for the Arts because of how invested I am in musical theater and chorus. But we have 4 practice rooms inside Gibson, and each of them are equipped with pianos. So sometimes I'd like to go there, play some piano, sing. Um, it's just like, I don't know why, it just feels so homey in that building. There's so many different things to do. You can look at art in the Cole Gallery, and you can go into the Hotchkiss Recital Hall and sing some stuff with friends and have really nice acoustics. So there's just like a lot to do in that building, and it's a really nice place to kind of just relax. You also can't miss it. It's right behind Martha Washington Square. So it's just like one of those really nice places on campus.
Yeah, Lexi kind of stole mine, but another like really cool space that we kind of the students made ourselves is my freshman year. Every hall has like a little common area that comes with it, and by the end of the year, all of my hallmates were super close. We were the only guys floor in the 4 floors of Minta, and so our hall was like we had a TV, and then someone set another TV in there, and there was like Xboxes and PlayStations, just all like living in the common room. And people are like, and they don't like get stolen or anything. It's like, well, someone's like always there, and like no one would ever steal anything. Like we would know who it was. So that was a really cool thing that we got to do.
I kind of wanted to add to that. So another cool place on campus is your own dorms. Not gonna lie, I barely slept in my own dorm. I was always at my friends' dorms just hanging out. So yeah.
Yes, yeah, sometimes it is nice to just come back to your dorm, plop on your bed after a very long day and just relax. Um, so do many students take a semester or a year abroad? And what are the most popular destinations?
There
So
are a lot of really cool. That's all you, Jonah. You got this. Okay, so study abroad options, they range from semester things to mini masters that might just be a few weeks in the winter or in the summer, as well as year-long programs. And you can pick whether it's going to be an immersion program, where if you like go to Italy, you're going to speak Italian and your classes will be in Italian. Or if you go to Spain, we have immersion programs in Chinese, French, I think German too. And then you also have exchange programs. Like I went to Milan, Italy. It was not immersion. I don't speak much Italian, but I got to be over there. A lot of students, if you're asking about like popularity, a lot of students do like doing the ones in England and London, as well as Ireland, are very popular among students, but there's a very big range.
I would say that another one that I think is a popular is the American Business School in Paris, which is where I want to go. But I've also been looking at the other locations this year, and I'm like, wow, there are some good locations by the water that I want to explore. So the study abroad program has a lot of options that'll make you think about where you want to go.
Just to add, not on a study abroad note, but there are for chem and bio majors where it's a little bit more difficult to study abroad just with labs and everything. You don't get that same education when you study abroad. But we do have things within the United States, little trips that a bunch of professors go on either every year or every other year. And I know there's been a lot of opportunities for that, not right now, obviously, but there's a ton of opportunities to get involved that way as well.
Great, yes. Hopefully we can go back to normal studying abroad programs very soon. So how do you pick your classes?
I can take this one. So we have a website called Self-Service, and you'll get a advisor your first year. And once you declare your major or majors, depending on if you're a double major or not, you'll get an advisor within that department. So since I'm a double major and I've declared, I have 2 advisors. Your advisors will basically have a meeting with you at some point around advising day, which happens once a semester, towards like at about like 5 weeks till the end of that semester around that time. So there's plenty of time for you to like make all your decisions, make sure that none of your classes conflict with each other, because that happens more than you think. And your advisors will basically have you go through when the classes that are available are sent out to everyone and pick what you want to do, as well as make sure that you're filling in your gen ed requirements. So like any of those prerequisite classes that you have to take, and make sure that you're on the right track if you have declared for your majors. It's really important, I think, to have those advisors to kind of just like check in with you, make sure that like you're on the right path, especially if you're double majoring, because there are a lot of things that overlap between majors, which are really great. But at the same time, you might miss a class and then not be able to take those higher level classes because you didn't take that first step. So through self-service, you'll be able to register. And it all really goes through you, and your advisor's just there as like a little bump in the right direction, just to make sure that you're on the right path and set for success.
Just to add, for most majors also, there's actually, if you go on the website and you like click like if you want to be a biology major, for instance, which I obviously highly recommend. Anyway, there's usually like a worksheet that you can fill out actually with all the classes, and it tells you like you need to take this class, 6 of these credits, whatever, for your major. And then a lot of minors have that as well, I'm pretty sure. And if they don't have a worksheet, they at least have like it lined out exactly for you. It's very easy to figure it out.
Yes, yeah, picking classes was always so fun. I don't know. So this one, I like this question too. It says, what is something you could not live without being away at college?
For me, I've always lived on the water my whole life, so I loved having a waterfront that I could walk to, and kind of personal, but like whenever I would walk down to the waterfront, like I would always call home, and I would walk down like a 15-20 minute walk to my job at the Star Center, check in at home, and be able to like look at the water and just like keeping in contact with home and old friends is always good.
I don't know if this would seem like nerdy or not. I don't know, but I literally can't live without the PS4 that's sitting right behind me. It's like my private time. It's what I like to do, and I'll especially be bringing it with me in the fall since they're bringing Among Us to PS4. So I will definitely be bringing it.
I think for me, it's difficult because like there's a lot of things I can't live without. A good Wi-Fi connection. That's one big thing. But I think honestly, for like a sense of peace, I like would make scrunchies and sewing. And like I wasn't about to bring a whole sewing machine to campus. That's heavy. I had lived on the fourth floor of Minta. Wasn't about to carry that up 4 flights of stairs. But I would like hand sew scrunchies and I'd make them for people, make them for my friends. And it's just a sense of like tranquility for me. It's relaxing. It keeps my mind like focused on that and not like stressing out over all of my assignments. So like bringing something with you that can calm you down when things start to get really stressful, whether that is a gaming system, whether that is something artistic, whether that is a book, like have something that can help ground you. Because like you'll find yourself getting stressed. That's normal. It's a part of college. It's a part of school. Um, and having that something that's grounding is really helpful.
I'm gonna say sunscreen because that's something I did not bring to campus my freshman year, and that was really unfortunate for me. But yeah.
Yeah, it felt like always like my mom always had sunscreen. And then I was like, oh, my mom's not here and I don't have sunscreen. She made sure I bought it, but did I put it on very well? No. So sadly, this is our last question. So what is one piece of advice you have for students starting their college search process?
I got y'all. I got y'all. So this was something that I was making a mistake of while I was doing my college process, but I fixed it. Don't go with what your friends are going with simply because your friends are going there. Um, Go with your choice. Go on college choice by yourselves with your parents or and by yourselves. But definitely just go with what feels right for you. When I picked Washington College, no one was coming with me and I was scared. And that's a scary thought to enter a new environment with a bunch of other young adults starting independent lives. It's scary to enter that kind of environment alone. But um luckily, or just in general, when you go in there, you won't be alone. You'll make friends. You'll have people who will stick by your side, and you can be your most authentic self. It gives you a chance to mature and to become a better version of yourself. So
Just to go along with what Jonah said, I like don't be afraid of the stereotypes surrounding whatever school you choose, whether it's Washington or not. I know I was, for whatever reason, very concerned with how, I was like, anytime I tell people I'm going to Washington College, they don't even know where it is. They don't even know what I'm talking about. I'm from Pennsylvania. So um, that was something that, for whatever reason, worried me. And I'm so happy I didn't let that just like be a deciding factor in what I did, because I know I would not be happy if I went to any of the other schools that I was looking at, um, just because people knew what they were and where I was going. So that's probably one piece of advice that I would give, but also just wait for that moment when you get on campus and you're like, this is where I want to be for the rest of my life, or not the rest of my life, for the next 4 years of my life. That moment will come. I didn't think it would come. I always thought people were crazy for thinking that, but it will come.
I think one thing that I wish I would have done when I was doing my college like search was reminding myself that like it is okay not to get into your dream school. It is okay to get overwhelmed and feel stressed out over applications. You are not the only student going through this. Students across the world are going through this. So like remind yourself that there are going to be some difficult times. Application deadlines are going to get really stressful. That's normal, and you're not alone in that. But also, I think for me, one of the biggest influences was like my family, and being far away from family, or um, doing what my family wants me to do was like a really big thing for me. And I got stuck with applying to schools that I most likely wouldn't have unless my family wanted me to. And Washington was like one of the only schools that I applied to that I actually wanted to apply to. So remind yourself that while yes, your parents and your relatives are an important part of this process, this is your next 4 years. This is where you are going to be spending the next 4 years. And if you are feeling pressured into it, it's going to start you off on a negative path. Um, have an open mind to everything. Don't just center yourself on what others want. This is at the end of the day for you to benefit out of.
Yeah, I think you guys are already well on your way. I would, because my best piece of advice would be to like talk to the people in admissions and talk to like students from that college, like formally and informally. If you like, just if you have a relative that went there and you want to talk to them, or someone from your school went there, just like get a really good grounded experience, so uh, know about like maybe what clubs or what majors and minors are offered. And it's just like stuff that you don't want to be like combing through every college website. And if you're able to have a personal connection with the school, you can answer your questions really easily, and find what you want a lot easier.
Great, yeah, feels like just yesterday, starting the whole college touring process. Well, yeah, so that brings us to the end of our student panel here. Thank you all so much for joining us this evening. I hope you found this panel helpful as you make decisions and prepare for the big college tours. Again, if you have a question that we were unable to answer live tonight, we will reach out via email as long as we have your name associated with the question. Lastly, I wanted to remind everyone that Washington College is open for public campus visits. We also have virtual options if you would like to do that as well. Please look to our website for both of them, and you can maybe get a tour from one of our virtual generals that are on here too. So again, thank you so much for joining us tonight. We really appreciate you spending your Tuesday night with us, and we hope we can all be together in person soon. Take care and have a great night, you guys. Bye.